Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Dave, and today, beautiful sunny day, I've got my John Deere tractor out. So this is a John Deere 2025R, and on the back of it I've got my tiller. I'm going to be doing some tilling work, some cultivating of some ground today. And this tiller, I think if I remember correctly, was probably the first or the second video that I ever put on the channel way back when. This is a HAYES branded tiller. It's an Australian company. I think they're based down in Pakenham, Victoria, and it's quite a narrow tiller. So if you look at the back of it, it's only about 1.50 metre wide, so about 3.5 feet. It's quite narrow, but it's perfect for us because I wanted to get it to prepare our rows to put our lavender plants down, and I've used it quite a few times, but probably not enough. It's like a lot of things I have, it seems to sit in the back of the shed, and you can see here it's all covered in dust. It's been out of the weather, but it's still covered in dust. There's a bit of rust on the top here, and if you look at that original video, that was like that when it was delivered to me from HAYES. It had a big chip off the paint there and it started rusting, so I really should fix that up. But it is a good tiller. The reason I bought this particular one is that it has a gear drive on the side, so it doesn't run on a chain. It runs on a gear drive down here, and it's what they call their medium duty, maybe their heavy duty model. They do make a version the same as this that's a little bit lighter weight. It runs on a chain, and I think it may even have less tines on the rotors. I can't remember. I think it may be a little bit different as well. Anyway, today's exercise is I want to get this out, get it hooked up, just check the grease and oil in it, and I'm going to prepare some more rows, so we're going to have a look at that. But first of all, let's give it a wash. Now, I have a bit of an interesting tale when I bought this tiller. As I said, I bought it from HAYES, an Australian company, and you know, we like to support our local industry, so I'm sure all of you in the US would support US made product and things like that. So I was hunting around for a tiller, and I have heard of the HAYES brand before, a well-known Australian company in sort of the ag circles, and I thought that's great, I'll buy it from them and support an Australian company. Anyway, the tiller didn't turn up for quite a while, and I kept getting messages saying, you know, they can't deliver it, and I rang them up and I said, listen, what's the go? Like, is there a problem getting the steel, or is there a problem delay getting it made? And they said, oh, well, the container hasn't come in from China yet. And I sort of heart sank a little bit, and I went, oh, so it's Chinese made, it's not made here? And they're going, oh, no, how? Well, at least this range of tillers, so I don't know whether this is the bottom budget range or whatever they called it, but they said, oh no, this particular tiller, we have them all made in China now, and the boat hasn't come in and we haven't unloaded the container and whatever, so there's the delay in shipping and we haven't got it and whatever. So that is it was interesting. I was a bit disappointed because I did want to buy something that was made here, but I don't think we make a lot of stuff in Australia anymore, and still the plus side, or the other side of the equation, is that when you do buy it made in China, obviously they're cheaper. So this tiller, I have to say, was very reasonable in cost. I think it was only like $2,000, $2,100 Australian, something like that. So it was quite good value. There's no doubt about that. I mean, if you go to the field days and look at the Italian-made tillers and stuff, which I'm sure are, well, I would think they're probably a better made product, better quality product. You know, they can cost $5,000-$6,000. So I'm sort of happy for the price I paid, and I just have to sort of suck it up that it's a Chinese-made tiller. But touch wood, it has been very good. I haven't had any problems with it. I haven't had any breakages in the gearbox or anything. Doesn't leak oil, and it's all been going pretty well. So on the plus side, I'm pretty happy with it. Now that it's clean, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but you can. Well, I can see here that I can see underneath the paint here, it's all starting to rust all the way through there under the paint. And as I said, it's been undercover. It gets dusty, but it hasn't been getting wet, but it's still rusting. And again, this is one of my bugbears I have about Chinese-made equipment is either, well, I know the quality of the steel's not as good as what it would be if it was made in the US or Australia, but, you know, I sort of wonder whether they even put like a metal primer or something underneath the paint, or whether they just put the green paint straight on the top of the steel. But yeah, you can't really see it, but I can have to try and treat that with something, otherwise in a couple of years it'll be completely covered in rust. Now on the back of my John Deere tractor, I actually replaced one of these lift arms that was a fixed lift arm and put an adjustable one on there. I can't remember which side they normally standard. They come with an adjustable one on one side and a fixed length on the other side. So I bought an adjustable one, and I've just noticed looking at the back of the tiller here, I don't know whether you guys can see it. Can you see that it's got a very slight tilt to it? It's a bit low on the left hand side, down on this side down here. So the good thing about having the adjustable lift arms are now that you can just quite easily get in there and adjust it. So I'll just wind that. Which way do I go? Do I go that way, or do I go that way? I think I go this way. And that'll just wind that arm up. Let's have a look at that. Might even be a little bit too far now, or a bit more maybe. I think it's okay. That'll do. Just tighten that nut up there. Okay, just check the oil in the gear drive side here. See if it's got oil. Yep, there's oil coming out of there. So that's all good. So this is the area that I'm going to run over today and just re-till some of these rows. And you can see I've got 3 here that I'm going to do. And this is where I had my Australian Geraldton wax flowers in. And they all have died, or most of them have died. I think I planted about 49 or 50 of them, I think, from memory. And I have one bush that is still alive. This pink variety here is still going. So I'm going to leave this one here obviously, but I'm going to reuse these rows here. And I'm not too sure what we're going to plant there yet. I know that one row on the outside I think is going to be for roses. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to chomp through all this sort of stuff. I have sprayed this with a herbicide to kill off some of the weeds and the grass in there, so that's now quite dead. I did have some wire netting in there which I've removed so I don't run over it with a tiller, but all this stuff in here will just get ground up. Now I do have a couple of plants that are still here as well, and these actually have some buds coming out, so I'll keep these ones here. So actually I've got 3, I haven't got one, I've actually got 3 that have survived. And what actually knocked them over was we had a lot of rain, and following the rain we had intense winds, like 100 km/h, 60 mile/h winds. And because all my wax flowers here were built up on mounds, they got quite tall, a bit taller than what this one is, and the wind just blew them all over. And I came out one morning and they were all just laying down on the side of the rows here. So I did actually pull them back up, and I put stakes in them, but I think it must have broken the roots because they all did exactly the same thing and they all died, except for the ones on the outside row. So these ones here were a little bit protected by the wind, and they survived, but all of the others didn't make it. Now at the end of the rows I did actually plant some lavender not so long ago, so I've got to make sure that I don't run over the top of this. So I'll start my tiller back a little bit and head up the rows there. So I've got one plant there and another one there. I just need to clean all the grass out, but there is actually a lavender plant under there and another one over here. So if I remember, I will try and make sure that I don't run over these with the tiller. Righto, well I've done the first two rows. I actually have to go back to the third one over there, and I've still got some wire netting around the old trees that I've got to pull that out so it doesn't get caught around the tiller. But I've done these two, and yeah, this is pretty good. It cuts it up pretty fine. It does a good job. Probably the grass and stuff that's in here will probably grow back unless I get on top of it, but no, that'll do. That's all right. Quite happy with that. Oh look, I've even unearthed a little treasure. What have I got here? I've got a golf ball. Didn't actually chew it up. That's pretty cool. So if anybody is missing a Wilson 4, yeah, send me an email and I'll send it out to you. One thing I have noticed when using these tillers, so the action on this tiller is the tines are going this way, and when you start from a dead stop, if you like, it tends to just push everything behind. So back there I've got this big mound of material, and then it sort of settles down. And I found you need to be sort of consistent with speed. You don't want to stop and start. You want to sort of just keep consistently moving forward, and then you get a much more even row like this, and the saw's all about the same sort of height. But then what happens at the other end is, because the tines are spinning this way, is when you get to the end here, I don't know if I can show you this, you end up with a big hole at this end here. Down in there, it sort of digs in there and you end up with a hole, so you have to sort of get some material from the other end and then bring it back and then fill in this, because this is always going to be lower. Now, just last night I went and found the original invoice for this tiller when I bought it, and I paid $2,100 in December of 2020, and that's almost 4 years ago. I think for me, ideally, this is the perfect machine for me, because I don't use it a lot and I'm quite happy with it. I haven't had any problems in those 4 years of anything mechanically going wrong. I haven't even broken a single tine on the machine, so I'm really happy with that. Now, I did notice on the HAYES website that they still make this type of machine in this width, a heavy duty machine. So it is a heavy duty machine, and the difference here, if you buy one of these rather than just the basic machines, are that the heavy duty one has the gear drive on the side, whereas the standard model just has the chain drive. The number of tines on the spindles on the heavy duty machine, there's 6 on this one, and on the standard machine there's only 4. The other big thing is, on these heavy duty machines, is you have a 6-inch clutch assembly that goes on the back of the PTO shaft, which certainly is a lot better than not having any clutch system at all. The standard one just has a direct input into the gearbox. So I like all that. Yes, there are a couple of annoying little features that I have already touched on. One of them being the rust under the paint, the delivered with this big chip off the back of the gearbox here. Other things I've noticed is when I did put it together, that all the nuts and bolts all over the machine, and there's quite a few of them here, they were all loose. So I had to go back and tighten all of those and then check them after you've used it a couple of times, because they will come loose. Another small annoying factor that I've found with these is, if you look down here, if I can show you, for example here, is there's a galvanized bolt, but then underneath it they've just used a mild steel washer, and of course the mild steel washers are just rusting out, and it's a bit hit and miss. Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. Other times they're using a nice galvanized washer underneath and it's all fine. But they are built to a price, and I am overall very happy with what I paid for and the performance of this particular machine. Now, on the side of the machine here, you can see on these skids here that it has various positions for how deep you want the digger to go into the ground, and this particular machine will go in, I think the maximum is 150 millimeters or 6 inches, whereas the standard model will only go in 125 millimeters or 5 inches. One thing you have to remember is when you store this machine is that you have to make sure that you extend this leg right down when you position it on the ground. Otherwise you'll find that when you take it off the tractor and you have it sitting on the ground, that the tines actually will be hitting the ground and can actually bend that shaft. So you just have to pay particular attention that when you store it, that it's stored in the right position. This tiller is rated to go behind tractors of 25 to 80 horsepower, so it fits perfectly behind my John Deere 2025R. You may struggle if you buy this particular tiller if you put it on a lower horsepower tractor. Now the tiller does come for the pins. It comes with a category 1 pin assembly here, so it should fit most of the smaller tractors. And as usual with most things, the PTO shaft here will be too long and you have to cut it down, and don't do what I do and cut it too small and cut my cover off, and now it's actually exposed, which I'm not happy about. I should try and fix that up. Now before I go, I just wanted to give you an update on the pricing, the current price on these tillers. Now I did mention just a minute ago that I paid in 2020, I paid 2,100 Australian dollars for this tiller. I had a look on their website last night and their current price for this machine is 2,800 Australian dollars, or whatever the equivalent is, $500 US, something like that. Now I will put in the video description the link to the HAYES website. They're down in Pakenham, Victoria here in Australia, and you can go and check out all the details on these tillers plus all sorts of other ag equipment to suit your tractor. Okay, that's it for today's video. I do appreciate everybody watching the video and supporting the channel. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.